Hi, welcome back to ODE YouTube channel, and today is day 9 and this is the one that I'm going to open. Day 9 is a kind of a special day, not a very special day because I don't give it that much importance, but it is my birthday, so it's important in a relative way, not very important. But who cares? Let's go to window number 9 and see the ink that is inside. And I'm destroying it, but who cares? What I want is the little bottles. If I didn't bite my nails, it would be easier to open these things. And the ink that is inside, it's called Nutcracker, and by the label and by the name I suppose it is kind of a brown, almost reddish here, but I'm not sure. It is a brown ink, I believe, and it is a standard ink. I'm quite happy that the ink that is in the 9th December, which is my birthday, is a kind of a color that I really like. I would say that my favorite color to write with fountain pens is brown. So I have lots of hope with this ink. I will stop it now. I will ink a pen with this ink and then I will tell what I think about it. See you right in a few minutes. And let's see how the ink number 9 Nutcracker goes on paper. And we have here the swatch. And the swatch shows us a brown ink that looks a little more like a burgundy in some places where it's more concentrated, and I even got some sheen out of it, although this ink is advertised as a regular standard ink. So this is the Nutcracker, a brown ink. I have to compare these with some other swatches, but first let's see the pen that I decided to use with this ink. So I went to the Divine Design Eyedropper Amber. It is a brown pen with transparent barrel. It is made to be an eyedropper pen, or it can be used with converter or cartridge. I used the empty cartridge and filled it. It has a Yovo nib, a fine Yovo nib. So let's go back to the ink. The ink is brown, as I showed you, and here we have some other browns. We have the script brown and the Pelican Edelstein Smoky Quartz. So two different browns from this one. I just want to show you also the color of the triple chocolate that I showed you before, which is another color of this Inkvent calendar, was the color of day number 5. And you may see they are quite different. This one is much more brown and this one has a more reddish tone to it. And you can see that burgundy tone. And if we look to the chromatography in this ink, which is quite interesting, you will see that it has a baseline that is almost gray, and it goes gray for, I would say it has a more water resistance in this gray line. Then there is some gray ink that is pulled onto the paper. Then it goes red, and finally it has a yellow for a warmer tone. So this is a very complex ink. Just for comparison purposes, if I showed you the Nutcracker color chromatography in comparison, you see this is like a solid color, just brown, and this one has lots of different components. Let's put all this aside and let's look how it behaves on paper. I have to say that I like this ink. I prefer real brown inks that are more straight, like the triple chocolate. I prefer that, but I would say this doesn't look that reddish when it is on paper. On the swatch, yes it does, but here with the fine nib I don't see it. Maybe if I use the broad or double broad nib, I would see a lot of reddish tones into it. And then, let's see, this is the moleskin paper, which is one of the most difficult papers for me, and I would say it behaves quite well, but with some bleed through. It has almost no feathering, it behaves really well on the page it was written, but in the other side of the page it's not that good, because you can have some see-through or some bleeding. Then we have the Oxford paper, and on the Oxford paper, because it is more shiny maybe, and it doesn't absorb that much, here it looks more reddish than on the moleskin paper. But because this is cream colored, maybe it can be an explanation, but I see more red in this paper than in the moleskin. When we come back to this navigator paper, which is 80 grams per square meter copy paper, which is a cheaper paper, it doesn't spread that much, it doesn't bleed through, it doesn't do it also on the Oxford paper, and here it looks again more brownish, because this is not a coated paper and that one is. So in coated papers it looks reddish, here it looks more real brown. I would say that although some papers absorb more inks than the others, this ink doesn't tend to spread on the paper, so I think the line has quite a constant line width between all these papers that I tested the ink with. And then finally we'll go to the Rhodia dot pad, which let's call it our standard, and we can see here it is a brown, almost reddish when we do this, when I do the smear test just to see the drying time, and it's not bad. You can see the brown tone there. When I apply water, you can see that the reddish, there is a reddish tone that stays on paper. That's the reddish tone that you see. Also, sorry, I have my hand in front of camera, I'm just looking for this. It's the same kind of red that you see here on the chromatography, maybe like here. And you can try to see some of that ink, that water resistance, that gray line that we see here in the base of the chromatography. And you can see some of it there. You can see the original loops, but then almost everything was lost. So I would say yes, there is a little bit of water resistance, but no, it's not enough to have a document that you can read well. However, you can still read it, but not well or easily. And so let's go for the final phrase, which is this pen, because it is an eyedropper and has a specific capping system, it offers lots of resistance to uncap. It has a seal to avoid the ink to dry in the nib. And so the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And so this is our phrase. You can see this ink goes very well with the writing sample, very well on the paper, it's very well behaved, so if you like the color of it, go for it. And finally, because this ink has no specific extravagant quality, it's not a sheen or a shimmering ink, what do you think about this? Do you think this is an ink that needs to be put into regular production, or you think this ink is already available from some other brand or even from Diamine? And between those two, the Nutcracker and the triple chocolate, which one do you like best? This is really interesting for me. I really want to know what is your opinion. And by the way, when you're telling me some inks that are similar or something, or that you advise me to get, I'm making a compilation in a file of all the comments that you make in these Inkvent Calendar ink reviews, and I'll try to get at least samples of those inks that you mentioned and to test them out. It's nice to have your advice and try to go forward with ink reviews on my channel, starting with this Inkvent Calendar. Actually, I started with the Parker Queen Black, but I think this is the real breakthrough in my channel about ink reviews. So, this is all for today. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.